What is going on, everyone? You got Matt here, coach of the Montreal Milotics, bringing you our draft analysis for the Pokemon 4 Glory Next Generation. I am so excited to be part of this league, guys. You have no idea. I've met so many cool people through it so far, and honestly, we haven't even started battles yet. It's mind-boggling, honestly. I'm so happy that I'm part of it. So thank you to whoever selected me, whoever said, hey, let's take this guy, let's accept him, and his just ridiculous stupidity sometimes on YouTube. But in all seriousness, thank you to whoever accepted me, and I just want to say thank you as well to Caleb, who is the creator of our beautiful new logo and this beautiful background you see. It is, I believe, the Rainbow Rocket background. I haven't gotten that part in Ultra Sun Ultra Moon yet, so I really should get on that because I need the Mega Ring. But yeah, anyways, let's get into the draft, guys. So this draft is a little bit different than what I'm usually doing. The draft is a tier draft, so you do draft a tier 1, a tier 2, 2 tier 3s, a tier 4, and a tier 5, as well as 4 free Pokemon. But you also draft a Z Crystal. I've never done that before. I've never been in a situation where you draft a Z Crystal and have only one for the entire season. That kind of limits some building in some situations, but at the same time, it makes it so that you can prepare a bit more for your opponent and not be subject to a lot of just wacky sets that you just didn't see coming. But anyways, you also have to draft either a Mega, an Ultra, or a Tier 1 as a, I guess, Super Pokemon, whatever it's called. So we have the option to draft a Mega Pokemon. Tier 1 Megas cost 40 points, Tier 2 Megas are free, Tier 3 and below give you an extra, I believe it's 40 or 60 points. And then you have the Ultra Pokemon, which costs you 100 free points. And that to me is where I kind of say, I don't think I can do that, because I like using my free points to get a lot of value and a lot of really strong Pokemon as well. And because of that, I think I decided to lean away from grabbing an Ultra Pokemon. But anyways, we had the 6th pick in the draft, and honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of having the 6th pick. To me, it's like, it's close to the wheel, but it's not quite there. I mean, it's better than having the 8th or something like that. But again, my favorite picks are right near the wheel, either like 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, or 16th, 15th, or 14th. But anyways, that's beside the point. Before I get started in the actual draft, before we get started in the actual draft analysis, my name is Matt. I make YouTube videos. I have a lot of fun with it, and if you guys would like to stick around and watch the rest of the P4G, I suggest that you guys subscribe to the channel. I make a lot of Pokemon videos, from Draft League content battles to Draft League content top 10s to I did a Let's Play last year. It kind of went bad, but I'm thinking about starting up another one at some point later on in the future. But I have a lot of stuff planned, from top 10s to just random discussion stuff, so I really suggest you guys stick around and subscribe to the channel. Anyways, let's get into the draft. Again, like I said before, we have the 6th pick in the draft, and I want to pick up something that could be very useful in many different areas. So something offensive, something defensive, something that could be a sweeper, something that could be a wall breaker, something that could be just purely defensive. And you might be thinking, oh, he's probably going to take Mew. No, I decided to take Celesteela. Celesteela fell to me at the 6th pick in the draft, and that is pretty cool. It has phenomenal typing, and at this point in the draft, grabbing something that has great typing, has really good synergy with a lot of Pokemon, an amazing ability and boost, really good stats all around, and ridiculous coverage, I think is always a plus. So because of that, I think Celesteela was the perfect Pokemon. And looking at it right now, if you were to say, okay, based on this Pokemon, what would you take as your Z Crystal? You'd say either Flynium Z or Steelium Z, most likely. So I was debating between those two Z Crystals for later on in the draft. But anyways, we go back, like, we're 16 teams, I think it is, so we wait like 20 picks for our next pick, and because of that, I was kind of debating what I wanted to take, and I want something, again, that showed off my creativity. And I said before, you guys probably thought I took Mew, and I feel like I'm a pretty creative battler, as well as I also have a very creative front office who makes a lot of funky stuff, or experiences a lot of funky stuff from other opponents. So because of that, I did decide to go ahead and grab Mew. Mew is another tier 1 Pokemon, so his drops are free total down from 400 down to 220. I love Mew. To me, it's one of the 5 best Pokemon in the format. I absolutely love it, and the fact that it fell all the way down to me in the 2nd round is ridiculous. But I understand that there are a lot of great Pokemon. They took Ultras, they took Megas, whatever it may be. Mew to me is just so valuable. It has pretty much every move in the game, every TM, every HM, well, no, not HM anymore, I guess, but all the move tutor moves, ridiculous coverage options. I can now draft the Psychic Z Crystal and potentially get the Psychium Z, the Munium Z, I should say, and Munium Z Mew is so scary, guys. So I really suggest that people who are using Mew really tune in and watch our battles, because I think Mew is going to be a very, very big threat to our opponents every week. Moving on, though, I really want to pick up something again that resisted the electric and fire type weaknesses that Celesteela provided. And I'm thinking about that, I'm like, what resists both? And there's a few things that do resist them. I just decided, you know what, I'm kind of gonna pick up something that is very, very, it helps with momentum. It's again, it can be offensive or defensive, and it does both things really well. So I decided to pick up something that does resist fire, and that is Rotom Wash. I've never used Rotom Wash before in the Sun and Moon or Gen 7 metagame. I've used it in, I believe it was Oras, there we go, and I had some success with it. Nothing too crazy, but I really liked how it just did whatever it needed to. It got the job done all the time. Having only one weakness in grass is so valuable, especially since you have Mold Breaker to be immune to the ground moves. And we do have also Celesteela to deal with potential Mold Breaker Pokemon. But I love the Rotoms. I think they're so valuable, especially now that they have Defog. They get priority in Sucker Punch. They have Shadow Ball as well because they are originally Ghost types. They have Volt Switch, which is amazing. This one gets Hydro Pump, Pain Split for recovery, Will-O-Wisp, Toxic, and Thunder Wave. Having all three is great. We have 2 Pokemon now that get all 3. But I think Rotoms will be very valuable to provide us with key pivoting and key supporting as well. So I'm excited to see what we can do with Rotom this season. Moving on, I dipped down into Tier 3 now because there was one Pokemon in there, and I don't know why it was Tier 3. To me, it shouldn't be there, but for some reason, I had a few drafts after this one, and it ended up being Tier 3 as well there. But this to me should not be in Tier 3, and that is Crocodile. Crocodile is so monstrous, so powerful, and honestly a little bit underrated, or not underrated, but more like people aren't as afraid of it as they should be. A Choice Scarf Moxie Crook is so terrifying, and not everyone has an answer for it, especially because not everyone has the greatest answer to Dark and Ground Stab. It's got an incredibly powerful stab. It has 2 great abilities in Intimidate and Moxie. Anger Point is an ability, I guess, but nothing special. Anyways, it's a phenomenal Pokemon. It gets Stealth Rock, it has access to Pursuit, it has Stone Edge, the Elemental Fangs, I believe. It gets Beat Up. Beat Up is one of my personal favorite moves just because it can really catch an opponent off guard, especially if they're expecting to get up a layer of hazards, and you can just say, nope, here's a Scarf Beat Up, it's going to OHKO you through your Focus Sash. That's just perfect. Anyways, I love Crook, I think it's great, and at Tier 3 it's the perfect Pokemon for me. Moving on though, I decided to dip down again into Tier 4, and this to me is the biggest head scratcher of my draft. Looking at its typing, it's got phenomenal typing, and honestly it shouldn't be Tier 4, it's just to me, I haven't used it that well in the past. I guess I was kind of saying I should probably try and get better at it for the future, and that's why I took it here. But I picked up Alolan Marowak. Alolan Marowak is phenomenal at what it does. It's a fat physical wall breaker with no special attack and very little speed. It also needs the thick club to basically do any offensive damage, so it really relies on its item. It has amazing abilities in Rockhead, in Lightning Rod, and in what was the other one? Rockhead, Lightning Rod, and Curse Body. There we go. Those 3 abilities are honestly phenomenal. You can rotate them every week and find success. And for some reason, I don't know why, but Curse Body always seems to work for me, so I'm happy I have a Pokemon with that. But it's got great coverage options. This thing gets Blizzard, for God's sake. Like, why does it get Blizzard? Anyways, it's got great coverage options from Fire Stab to Ghost Stab to Earthquake and Bonerang to Thunder Punch to Stone Edge. Like, this thing is great. It's another rocker, it's a 3rd rocker, and I'm very excited to see how we can do for it. It's a spin blocker, of course, that is very important as well, and I think providing with the support that we have from Rotom and with Mew, then we can make Marowak really work for us extremely well in the P4G. Moving on with our next pick, I again dipped down into Tier 4. I had to use 63 points for this one, and I wanted a Pokemon that was 1, a Fairy, and 2, got Webs. And based on that, there's like 2 Pokemon that get it, Slurpuff and Ribombee. And yeah, I picked up Ribombee because you look at our team, guys, we're really slow. We have Mew at base 100, Crook at base 92, then Rotom at base 86, and then it's Celesteela at 61, and Marowak at 45. Like, we're super slow. But Ribombee is like base 126 or something like that, if I remember, or 124, whatever it is. But it gets Webs, which is amazing. Imagine just, I can run Trick Room now with Mew, and then just have Marowak destroy there, or I can run Sticky Webs, get up a Flame Charge with Marowak, and then just destroy from there. So I have a lot of options right there with speed, and even though we're not the fastest team in the world, having Sticky Webs is so important. It's a great Pokemon just in terms of, not necessarily just typing, typing is kind of weird, being Bug and Fairy, but it gets access to great special options in Psychic, Moonblast, Bug Buzz, Energy Ball. I believe that's pretty much all it gets actually. It's nothing too amazing, but Quiver Dance makes it all better, and I think Ribombee can be a very good late game sweeper, and even a good early game wall breaker if needed. So I'm excited to use Ribombee. A good friend of mine is a big fan of it, so I have to take it anyways. Moving on though, I decided to pick up a Tier 2 Pokemon, and this made it so we had 3 free Pokemon taken and only 40 points left, so I could take I had to take a Tier 5 free Pokemon and then a regular Mega or something like that. So that's my options. So I decided to pick up Raikou here, and Raikou is our second electric type. You might say that's kind of redundant, and it is, but it gives us a really good speed here at 115. It makes it so that the 115s that would normally have to run Adamant Nature or a Modest Nature to outspeed our Mew whenever they wanted to, have to now run a Jolly or a Timid Nature to speed type with our Raikou, and that's awesome. I'm very happy with that. Just the fact that we get to fix our speed tiers quite a bit. Raikou is also criminally underrated sometimes. It's a very fast electric type with Volt Switch, with T-Bolt. You get all the hidden powers. You get Aura Sphere. I believe it would be Rash for that though. You get Extra Sensory. You get Extreme Speed if you didn't know. I think Raikou is just so underrated with what it can do, and not many people are always prepped for a Calm Mind subset, so I think Raikou can provide a lot of utility for us, and also just be a really good offensive and late game cleaner, just in case things get difficult and our opponent doesn't have a good ground type or electric resist. Anyways, Raikou is a great Pokemon, but to me, there's another Pokemon that's going to be up next actually that I have no idea what it's going to do really for us, because it is a tier 5 Pokemon, and for some reason whenever I see a battle with this thing or a YouTube video with some bigger YouTubers say, I'm so afraid of this Pokemon because of X, Y, and Z, and then people say, yeah, it has a great matchup because of the same reasons, and that is Girder. Girder is a very good tier 5 Pokemon from what I hear. You have access to Priority and Mach Punch, you have Drain Punch for recovery, you have Knockoff, you have access to the Elemental Punches, you have a lot of really awesome options with Girder, and the fact that you can have Eviolite with it, it's so bulky. A bulk up Girder set from what I understand is very scary to deal with, just because again, Priority, Drain Punch, Knockoff, though that coverage is very, very useful to have. But anyways, Girder is to me the experiment of the draft, because I've never used it before. I am a little bit worried about how to perform, but from what I understand, it's bulky. A Guts Flame Orb set can be very scary for certain opponents, and because of that, I think Girder is going to be a very sweet option for us later into the draft. Anyways, we still haven't picked our Z Crystal, and we're not about to pick it just yet, because we did get sniped. I was looking at the Flying Z, that was the one that I wanted, because of, Celesteela, of course, and potentially Mew, but that's okay. We still have a chance to get Steelium Z, still have a chance to get Psychium Z, still have a chance to get, I believe, Groundium Z as well, so we have a couple options. Moving on though, I decided to pick up a tier 4 Pokemon, and you might be saying, wouldn't that put you over your total? And yes, it would. So because of that, I had to take Mew and move it from a free Pokemon to my Mega slot. So because of that, we now can no longer take a Mega Pokemon. We can no longer take a Super Pokemon, or Ultra Pokemon. There it is. That's the word I was looking for. But that's okay. To me, it's worth it because of this Pokemon, and that is Ditto. Ditto to me is criminally underrated. You look at our draft, I have a lot of Pokemon I find are just so underrated or so undervalued, and because of that, I'm happy with it. I like this group of misfits that are all there and can do a lot of work together. But Ditto is so good to have, especially in a format where we have one Z Crystal, so I don't have to worry about, say, just random psychic moves or random ghost moves or random whatever it may be. I don't care, just random coverage moves that could be used to hit super effectively on our opponent and make that a Z move. Because of this, because of all the amazing Ultra Pokemon there are, Ditto can just transform into, let's say, something like a Darkrai, for example. I don't even know Darkrai was allowed, but you can transform into something ridiculous and then just fire back extremely powerful hits and usually outspeed, because you're usually going to be a Scarf Ditto. Ditto to me is one of the most undervalued Pokemon. I'm excited to use it, and if you guys know me at all, you'll know that I use this thing all the time. I draft it whenever I can because it is so useful to have. Anyways, moving on to our next pick, I went down to tier 2. Went up to tier 2. I was debating between going with a tier 1, not tier 1, a tier 2 and a tier 3, or, sorry, was that it? A tier, no, it was a tier, I think it was a tier 1, or tier 3 and a tier 4, or whatever it was, I can't remember. Anyways, but basically I decided to pick up Haxorus, guys, after that ramble there. Anyways, Haxorus is an amazing Pokemon. I'm using it in the ICBA D League right now, and to me, having this thing, just the threat of it there every game is so dangerous for an opponent. The fact that you get access to a Mold Breaker is in a meta where there's a lot of the Rotoms, when there's a lot of Pokemon with abilities that they rely on, like Unaware, like Levitate, like, I don't know, what else is there, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, you have my points, okay? When there's a lot of amazing abilities running around there, having an ability that negates them all is so important, and having access to a Dragon Dance Sweeper that doesn't care about, potentially, I believe it's unaffected by Mummy. I think it is. I don't quote me on that. But having a Dragon Dance Sweeper is just so valuable, and it gets access to Dragon Claw, Outrage, Earthquake, Iron Tail, Night Slash. There's a lot of great options for this thing, and a Choice Band and a Choice Scarf Haxorus with 147 base attack is just monstrous, so you got to be very careful when dealing with one of those. Anyways, that is our second and last Pokemon we picked, because the next pick I actually grabbed was our Z Crystal, and I'm very happy to say that we were able to get the Steelium Z. Now, the reason I actually grabbed it now and not later on is because we have to take a tier 3 next. We only have one on our roster, being Crocodile, so no one else could have taken a tier 3 at this point in the draft. So I decided to pick up my Z Crystal now, and that is the Steelium Z. It works well with the Celesteela, it works well with the Mew, it works with the Crocodile, which gets Iron Tail, with the Haxorus that gets Iron Tail. I believe that's it, actually. I think that's actually it in terms of what gets steel moves. But this crystal can be very valuable. It helps us deal with fairy types, which can be very problematic at times, depending on what we have going for us. It can help us deal with those problematic rock types, I guess, if you want to say that. But anyways, Steelium Z is a very great Z crystal because a lot of steel moves have low accuracy, like Iron Tail, for example, and having that chance to just nuke something really hard turn 1 is very, very important. Anyways, that is our Z Crystal. Moving on, we have to draft a tier 3 Pokemon, and I was really racking my head because I did want to pick something kind of fun and interesting, but at the same time, I have a pretty big ghost weakness on my roster, so I decided to pick up Snorlax. And Snorlax I've used before in the past. I love Snorlax. It sucks when it gets taunted, but Snorlax is just such a valuable Pokemon. If your opponent doesn't have a fighting type, or even a good fighting type at least, you can just set up a Curse or set up a Belly Drum with Recycle, and with the super Citrus Berries or whatever, then you can just run through an entire team. And I love that. I love that concept. I think Snorlax is a very good Pokemon. It kind of sucks that our only Trick Room user is the Mew, but I'm very excited to use Snorlax once again. To me, it is one of my favorite Pokemon, right there with Milotic, and I'm happy that it's on our roster once more. Anyway, guys, that is our roster for the P4G Next Generation. I'm still so excited that we're actually in it. I can't believe it, honestly. We have Celesteela, Mew, Rotom Wash, Crocodile, Alolan Marowak, Ribombee, Raikou, Girder, Ditto, Haxorus, Steelium Z, and Snorlax. I think this is going to be a great season for us. I'm going for that championship, guys, but of course, I just want to go out there, have a lot of fun, make some new friends, and hopefully create some awesome content for all of you watching. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all next time.